I'm Mike Connelly, and welcome to Connelly's Commentary. With me today is Mike Havala, the CEO of Loaves and Fishes Community Services, and Janet Derrick, the Vice President of the CARES program here at Loaves and Fishes. Mike, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So typically what we do, Mike, is this show we'll have politicians and others come and they'll talk about public policy and whatnot. And in the 21st Senate District, the thing that always catches, I just find amazing is the number of social service agencies that serve this region. And I thought Loaves and Fishes came to mind first, which is why we're here. Tell us first, before we get into Loaves and Fishes, tell us about yourself and your professional experience and how you got to Loaves and Fishes.
Sure, absolutely. So most of my career before Loaves and Fishes, and I've been on the board of Loaves and Fishes for 9 years now, but most of my career prior to that was in the business community. And I was the CFO of a publicly traded real estate investment group located in downtown Chicago, and got involved with Loaves and Fishes again about 9 years ago, joined the board. And over that time really got to know the organization and really understand the mission and especially the need. Much of my career was spent downtown Chicago or traveling, so I didn't see the need directly in our community because I wasn't here that much, if you will. But once I spent more time here and understood the need, I became aware of what's needed in this community and got more connected to the mission. I'll just say one thing led to another, and as of the end of 2016, I became the CEO here.
Okay, fantastic. Now tell us about the history of Loaves. First of all, what is Loaves and Fishes Community Services? What is it, and tell us about its history here in Naperville.
So Loaves and Fishes started in the basement of a church in 1984, really working out of a closet, and really started as your startup food pantry, if you will. Over the years, it's evolved into something much bigger than a food pantry, as we're very focused on providing food to many people throughout the community, all DuPage County, but also many other services as well that are not food related, but help people become more self-sufficient and transform their lives. So our organization has transformed substantially from maybe Food Pantry 101 to now we're in the graduate classes, if you will, of what we do. So
sure. So, and we were talking off camera a little bit earlier, and when I'm in Springfield, a lot of my colleagues will say, "Oh, you represent Naperville, DuPage County, and the roads are paved in gold, and everything's wonderful." And actually, it's not. A lot of folks would be fair to say, one. Riff at work from being, the term is food insecure. Right. Tell us what that term means or where it came from.
Absolutely. So if somebody's food insecure, that means they don't have enough nutritious food to live a normal, healthy life. And so what that looks like is on a daily basis, it's a struggle to know, do you have enough food to feed your family and feed your children? And food insecurity is a big issue in a lot of places, including here in DuPage County, which is where we serve. 1 in 7 children in DuPage County are food insecure. And a lot of the food insecurity, of course, results from low-income families, families that are either low income or below the poverty line. And a lot of the families that we see are working poor. And so they're families that have 1 or maybe even 2 wage earners, but they just can't make it on a lower wage, especially living in this area as well. So with food insecurity, I think what's really important for people to understand is it's not just about not having enough food, but it's not having enough nutritious food, again, to live a normal, healthy life. And so what that leads to, if you're food insecure, it leads to a number of long-term health issues. Most of chronic disease can be prevented, but if you're food insecure and you're not getting the nutrition, especially from an early age as a child, those chronic diseases are much more prevalent. So diseases such as everything from heart disease to diabetes to obesity, even cancers. Again, most of that are lifestyle type issues, and food insecurity, you have at a much higher rate for people that are food insecure that have those type of chronic diseases. So it's not just not having enough food to fill your belly today.
Right.
It's about nutritional value on a long-term basis, and it's really a health and a public health concern.
Yeah, how big a facility is this, and how many people kind of go through this facility on, let's say, a monthly basis?
Sure. So we tend to talk in terms of weeks. So on a weekly basis, we're serving in excess of 800 families a week. So that's a big number. If you look at it across the course of a year, that's about 19,000 people that come through our doors or that we serve, both on what we do on the food side and also the Loaves and Fishes Cares programs too. So it's a very sizable population that we see each and every year.
So a number of we were talking again off camera beforehand about referrals, that people are referred here. Who refers them? How are they referred? Do they have to fill out kind of this is where I am in life, this is what happened to me? Explain the intake process, if you will.
So, people get referred to here by, it could be friends and families who are aware of us, it could be other social service agencies, it could be a number of different groups or organizations that, when they see that need and they understand what we do, that refer them to us. So on the food side, for what we do, if you're a resident of DuPage County and you have an income below a certain level, so you're in the low income or poverty classification, then you can come here and be served. And we serve people on a weekly basis. You can come and shop our market. And so it's, that's really all it takes to come here and to get some help. And then the Loaves and Fishes Cares programs, there's a number of different programs that we have that people can sign up for. Probably just best to call here and we can help guide that person to what they need and setting them up in a class or other program.
I know there are food pantries around here as well where sometimes people will just drop off food, but this is it's an enormous and wonderfully stocked food pantry. Where's the food come from?
Sure. No, great question. So, just as a measurement, last year we provided about 3.8 million pounds of food for the people that came through our market, and really we got three sources of where we get our food. Basically, first one is the biggest one, which is about 60%. And that comes through what we call food rescue. So what that means is we have trucks and we go out to all the places that we shop in our community and we rescue food that would otherwise end up getting thrown away or end up in a landfill. And it's good food. So it's food that may be past its sell-by date but not past its expiration date, as an example. Could be excess food that was ordered by a retailer for the holidays. So it's after the holidays, we usually get a big amount of food. So we go out and we rescue food, and we have in the neighborhood of about 110 stops a week that we do with all the names that you would recognize where we all shop every day. And so that's the biggest source of where we get food, and about 60% of it comes from that. Another 20% comes from various food drives, and these are both big and small. It could be a small little group that does a little food drive for us, or it could be a great sizable one where we get in 95 to 100,000 pounds with the mail carriers food drive, if you will. So that's the other 20%, and then the last 20% we actually buy. And so, and those are foods that we talked about, we're very focused not on just quantity, but also quality. And so there are certain foods, nutritious foods, that we need to go buy because they're not that conducive to getting them in a food drive. Take eggs. You don't see food drives for eggs, right? It's more canned, boxed type of food because of being fragile or perishable. And so we go out and buy foods like milk, eggs, produce when we need to do that to make sure that our clients are getting the healthy food that they need. So,
sure. And I noticed too that, I don't know what there's like a healthy food section, or there's some little tag that you're
Smart Check.
Smart
Yes.
Check. Smart
Yes.
Check. Do you work with nutritionists to put these packages together, or is it just one of those, I know that broccoli's good for me, even though we don't really like it that much, versus the, I did see Count Chocula there, but I think it was in a, it was next to the nutritional stuff. Tell us how you work that in.
So we have a nutrition advisory council, and again, very focused on providing healthy foods. And through that council and others in the community, we've developed what we call a Smart Check program. And so if somebody walks through our market, a client walks through our market, and they want to eat more healthily, they can see items that we've designated as Smart Check and make their selections from that. So those are generally foods that are lower in fat, higher in fiber, lower in sugars and sodium and that type of thing. So we've sort of pre-screened for them to help them make their choices. And we also have what we call a nudging strategy, just like any grocery store would, and what we put on end caps and so forth, to help people, to incentivize people, if you will, to make those healthy choices.
Okay, I've got this little sheet here which tells these amazing numbers. 18,798 people served. Is that in a calendar year, or is that?
That's a year. Yeah, we're on a fiscal year, but basically yes, in a 12-month period of time, that's the number of people that we serve.
Almost 50,000 child nutrition packs in one calendar year. You have to come here to appreciate the number of volunteers that are here, and they're amazing people. Where in the world do they come from?
They come from many different places. I mean, they come from various areas, surrounding our facility here, some far, some close. All ages. We see everywhere from teenagers to volunteers in their 80s, and I think we even have a volunteer to past 90. And so all walks of life. All backgrounds, all professions. We have over 1,500 volunteers, and they are the backbone of our organization. They're just an amazing, amazing group. And as I like to say, they do most of the work here at Loaves and Fishes. So the community is forever indebted to what the volunteers do for Loaves and Fishes.
Now, can like a Girl Scout troop or a Boy Scout troop come and offer to volunteer through their pack leader? Is that
sure?
Okay?
We organize various groups, and sometimes they're civic groups. Sometimes it could be corporate groups, and we have work group programs where they can interact and work as a group together, and help in one area or another in what we do here at Loaves and Fishes.
Well, I love what you guys do here, and I bet you wake up loving coming to work here. It's
Absolutely.
not even work, it's more of kind
Absolutely.
of a mission. And I just want to thank you for everything you do here at Loaves and Fishes, and thanks for spending a little time with us and telling us what's going on.
Well, thank you very much, and again, thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Mike.
Okay.
We'll be back for more on Connelly's commentary, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Connelly's Commentary. I'm State Senator Mike Connelly of the 21st District. We're here today at Loaves and Fishes Community Services in Naperville, and with me now for the second half of the program is Janet Derrick, the Vice President of Loaves and Fishes CARES program.
Yes.
Tell us about, well, first of all, I know Janet Derrick for a long time from Naperville CARES and all that, but tell the folks back home kind of a little bit about yourself, and then how'd you get here?
Yeah, so 18 years ago, I got transferred here with my corporate job. About 3 years after that, I retired. Still brings a little tear to my husband's eye. And then I found I had started doing work with St. Vincent de Paul, visiting people in their homes and providing emergency assistance. And then I went to a luncheon and found out about Naperville CARES. So that was in 2002. Okay. I started volunteering there. And then in 2009, they were looking for an ED. I said, I'm interested, and they hired me. So I became the ED of Loaves and Naperville CARES back in 2009.
Okay, and then Naperville CARES kind of merged with Loaves.
We merged, yeah. We had come to a point where we had a very small organization. There's myself and 2 part-time employees. So we had great volunteers and had raised, quite a bit of money. But we had come to a point where we had to decide either add more staff to raise more money because we were looking at other programs, or we had to look to merge the agencies. It was perfect timing because Loaves and Fishes was also looking at expanding their programming opportunities. So it was terrific because Mike Cavallo was the interim CEO at the time. So we really worked together. We equated to a year of dating and an 8-week engagement, because Mike was like, okay, the board's agreed, now we can do this in 8 weeks. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So
That's a
yeah,
quick
so it's great.
turnaround.
Yeah, it was great. It's been a great, and I think what was so key about our merger was we really focused on how were we going to serve the clients. It wasn't a financial. We were both very healthily conservative organizations. We wanted to serve the clients in a better manner.
So it's kind of the same question I asked Mike, and this show goes to about 65 towns, so there may be people out there who have the same feeling that my colleagues have. Some of my colleagues, which is, there's no problems in Naperville, the streets are paved with gold, there's no poverty, there are no people struggling. That's not true, is it?
No, and a lot of people move to this community. If you think about some communities that have some extreme violence or whatever, families move here because of better schools, safety for their children, and the economy has certainly picked up, but it's not in the service sector. They're not necessarily a living wage. You need to earn about $19 per hour in order to reasonably afford a 2-bedroom apartment here in DuPage County. So many of our, if we see $12 an hour on some of our applications, that's great, but it's, they're $400 away, an unexpected bill from potentially being homeless. So that's many of the people we serve here in Loaves and Fishes.
So tell us what CARES brought to Loaves and Fishes.
So what we brought we had 2 main programs. Was our emergency assistance program, where we work with other organizations. We really collaborate and coordinate the assistance within this community. So the emergency assistance is maximized but not duplicated, and services not duplicating. So we're really getting to the root cause. So the emergency assistance pays mostly rent and utilities. Those are our main things, but we pay other things like childcare. Maybe we'll pay car insurance, anything that's going to make sure someone stays employed or stay housed. We have great outcomes for that program. Our expectation is 80% will still be housed 3 months after assistance, or 80% will still have your utilities on. We are closer to 90% on both those programs. So the outcomes, and that really means we get to the root cause of the problem. And about 75% of our clients we serve them once a year. 75% never come back.
Right.
We really get them over that emergency hump.
Can you give like an example, without names obviously, of some recent client that came in, and what spins into action here?
Yeah, so what happens is, say someone's suddenly has lost their job. So they will come in, they will do an application with us. They meet, originally we do an initial intake over the phone, and then they come in and they need to provide the paper documentation. They need to provide income, household size, and anything, and sort of proof of their emergency. That goes to a committee of skilled volunteers who probably have about 40 years of experience together. Each of those files are discerned, and then they decide on a weekly basis who can be provided with emergency assistance. Typically, as long as the client follows up and follows the process, it's only about a 2-week process. It's mostly, that's the number one reason. If a client doesn't provide what we need, they might not get assistance.
Okay. So how does one help? Well, first of all, Naperville Cares. This is different than I'm going to bring over some food over to Loaves and Fishes. What are the things that people can do that are watching that can help serve the CARES side of things?
Right. So as Mike talked about, we have 1,500 volunteers in this building. Most of our services are provided by volunteers. So volunteers here could have very different experiences, right? We have sort of, on the food side, it's a little bit, it's a little more transactional. But on the care side, it's much more involved. It's a much more, people can sit down if they want to do that and do an application with somebody over the phone, and they meet with the clients one-on-one. So it's just a different experience. And we've had some people come from the food side and start working on the care side, which is great because they know then everything in the building. So it's just a different sort of interaction with clients. And we've had volunteers here, like I said, 10, 15 years working on that kind of business.
So, I mean, a lot of Naperville, there's a lot of empty nesters. There's a turnover coming. You start seeing these, young families, and I always scratch my head and say, are those the babysitters, those the parents? I'm like, wait a second. And my wife says, we're getting kind of old, Mike. But there are a lot of empty nesters and a lot of retirees who are looking to find a volunteer opportunity. Retired engineers, retired lawyers, teachers. Could they call here and say, I've got a certain skill set, where can you use me?
Yeah,
Is that what you're looking for?
That's what we're looking for. Actually, teachers are a big part. We have some school principals that have volunteered here, engineers. We have all sorts of people that have volunteered here. We do, that side of our business, we do ask for 6 hours a month commitment because we do provide all these resources and the programs are more detailed. So we do ask that sort of commitment of time, because otherwise you just won't be here enough to learn all that you can. And then we have the car donation program, which is a similar application process. So that's where we take in donated vehicles and we hopefully can repair them and then provide them to families who need transportation. So that's also a unique program to us, and we work with over 16 agencies throughout the county providing vehicles to their clients.
We donated one of, I think, our Toyota Solera, or one of them back in the day.
Thank you. So that's what the community can do. The difference with our program, there are many agencies that ask for a car, but they're just selling it, which we have to sell cars too. So it's a revenue, which is we can appreciate, but we actually try to give it to somebody so they can stay employed.
When I've got this incredible list here, which you've got the food side, which the numbers are just incredible, 50,000 child nutrition packs, but it has a number of things that people can help with. English classes, legal consultations. These are all the things people can volunteer and help with.
Right, yes, absolutely. So we have a number of agency-based programs. We have a job search assistance program, so we have volunteers that do that program. We have the VITA program, which is starting up January 28th, which is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program through the IRS. So we are certified through the IRS, and our volunteers take training. Again, that will start up on January 28th, and anyone is eligible to come here, making $60,000 or less. Please come here because you will save money. You won't pay $250 to get your taxes done elsewhere, that's what I'll say.
Right.
But they're very skilled, most of them are CPAs. Then we have the other programs that we do here. We partner with Fox Valley Institute and SamariCare for emotional counseling. We partner with COD, does their English language acquisition classes here. We do financial literacy through Home DuPage. They come in here on a weekly basis. And then we also have PRC, People's Resource Center, has their computer training program here. So we have all of these different programs. Oh, and then this Friday is our first day. We've had some legal programs through some other attorneys, and then things change. We just created a partnership with DuPage Legal Aid Society, who's now going to come into our building once a month and meet one-on-one with our clients.
Okay.
So
I know a lot of lawyers are looking for pro bono opportunities.
Yes.
They could come by here on Fridays, did you say?
Friday is going to be once a month. Fridays, DuPage Legal Aid is going to be coming in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of were reading my mind. The question I had was, there's so many social service agencies around, and what I think happened, and I'm just speaking out loud, when CARES and Loaves and Fishes came together, you found that there was a symmetry, there's a collaborative thing here that really works. Talk about some of the other social service agencies, other than the ones you just listed, that you're working with on a daily basis.
Yeah, so we work with, many of our supports, on the emergency assistance side, it's the congregations, particularly the St. Vincent de Paul groups. We work with them on this emergency assistance. So while we do this very detailed application here and collect the documentation, St. Vincent de Paul's mission is to visit people in their homes, which gives you a very different perspective. So that's an incredible opportunity, and we work with them. For the car side, we provide vehicles to the 360 students in transitional housing. It's a great partnership because these kids are going to school and going to work, and we provide the vehicles. So that's been a fabulous partnership with us. And then we recently, probably our biggest leap with the merger is our Moving Up program. So Moving Up is a 16-week course where people are called investigators, and they look at their lives and they try to see what is holding them back, what are the barriers. And this is really a self-directed program. So now we're working again with congregations and other organizations to provide mentors to the women, mostly women so far, who have been participating in this class. And then we're partnering. We did our first session last year, learned a lot. Starting our second session just started last week. So now, after the 16 weeks, they will have the opportunity to join the Family Self-Sufficiency Program at DuPage County. They can join it now, but we feel after spending 16 weeks looking at their lives and what's preventing them from moving forward, they really will be well suited for the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. So that's going to be a great partnership moving forward.
Okay. Tell me a little bit, I've got a sheet here, I had a question about the Loaves and Fishes Community Advisory Council. Who's on that?
Yes, so that is a great deal. I think it's about 30 members, all throughout the community. Very different. That's actually Mike Havala and Nancy Rearson put that together. Terrifically involved individuals from all different sectors. And they really provide some guidance. We have this, like a community meeting, and we talk about issues like where should we be serving, what should we be doing, what kind of programming, and they really provide a different perspective for us. Sometimes you get a little too, you get into the weeds and your day to day. So when you have an outside perspective coming in, hey, this is what we're doing, and well, what have you thought about this? It's a great opportunity to meet and work with really fabulous individuals.
Well, I don't know how you guys do this. I don't know. It's amazing the work you do here. I am privileged to represent you in the Senate. Thank you for everything you do here at Loaves and Fishes.
Thank you for your support. We're privileged to have you because you're a great supporter of ours.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janet.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Connelly's Commentary.